Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Life Uncorked. This is part 2 of a series that we are recording for us, for you, for everyone about menopause. We are here to discover more ways in which we can cope and thrive through this time in a woman's life. And today at Studio 84, I have with me two amazing friends, if I may say, who are here to share and guide us along the way. Welcome to you both. Kindly introduce yourselves. Jackie, over to you.
Thank you, Rafi. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 2. We continue on our discussion about menopause. And we had Dr. Mathew Kagwisagye from episode 1. He's still with us for episode 2. So, Dr. Mathew, just for the people who were not here when you introduced yourself, indulge us and introduce yourself again.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here again. I'm Dr. Mathew Kagwisagye, like previously introduced, and I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist working with Maristops Hospital in Kampala, Uganda. I've been in the areas of maternal health for the last eight years, and I'm passionate about maternal health. We provide quality maternal health services at the Maristops Hospital, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. So, in the first episode, we talked about what menopause is, the symptoms, what you can expect to go through. We also talked about the available options for treating the symptoms as and when they occur, and basically what experiences we've had going through menopause and trying to debunk some of the myths around menopause. Now we want to shift and say we know menopause is here to stay. So how can we empower and encourage women to thrive through this transition? So this episode is really about how can we navigate menopause and still live our best lives. It's not a death sentence, it's not a curse, it's just life. So we're going to be tackling a couple of things. What can we do in terms of lifestyle, in terms of creating a support network, and hopefully through this we will be able to find a combination of things that works for us. So, Doctor, you mentioned health, general sort of management of your health, things like managing your sleep. You talked about the body mass index, the BMI, making sure that you are healthy. And you mentioned something. There was the diet, there was the exercise, but you talked about sleep hygiene. I know for myself, I can fall asleep easily. Staying asleep is a problem. So it doesn't matter what time I go to sleep. I know that maybe after 2-3 hours, I will be awake, and then I will struggle to go back to sleep. And that really messes up, because I understand sleep is where our body repairs itself. So if you're not getting good quality sleep, then it's not going to be, you're going to make the situation that is already uncomfortable probably worse. So what can we do around sleep hygiene? I mean, like, what is it, and what does that mean practically? What do I do to make sure I stay asleep?
Okay, so thank you very much for that. In as far as quality sleep or sleep hygiene is concerned, it's recommended that for one adult would recommend about 6 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So actually, sleep is affected by very many factors. Not only the psychogenic or vasomotor aspects that we talked about menopause. So actually, anything that makes it worse should be worked upon. Actually, things like a balanced regular diet, things like regular exercise, actually stress alleviation can actually culminate into a better sleep in the night. as well as what what environment are you creating for your sleep? Actually, a quiet environment, um, even communicating, because many times when we are menopausal, postmenopausal, these are couples. They have their partners that they probably share a bed with. So also communicating with your partner to actually help aid in that process of getting quality sleep is also important. Even the timing of your sleep, you may not actually sleep for the actual hours you slept during your earlier years. You might actually do a readjustment. Some people actually go to bed a bit earlier so that they can actually have more quality like time to have some rest. Probably those who are used to going to bed probably at the past 10, 11 midnight, probably you can readjust and you go to bed earlier so that at least you're assured of that about 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So it is also associated with your life, the way you've lived out your day also affects the way you probably have a quality sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know I'm guilty of not staying away from my gadgets,
Phone.
especially the phone, and it's, I think it's like a vicious cycle. You manage to fall asleep, then you woke up, then you try to go back to sleep for another hour or so, and nothing is happening, so you get onto the phone. And that's like the worst possible thing you can do, because now you're going to wake everything up. And then, especially if you are sleeping, trying to get a good night's sleep, then you find that maybe if you went to bed about maybe 10, 11, if you're lucky, you sleep until about maybe 2 a.m., then you're awake from 2 a.m. until like 6. And then when it's time for you to get up, that's when you're feeling sleepy again.
Yeah.
Does it matter when I sleep? Can I survive on naps? So if I know I have tried everything I could possibly do to fall back asleep and nothing is working, I am just wide awake. If I feel sleepy at 11 a.m. the following morning and I sleep, does that work as well, or does it mess up? I think they call it the circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm.
Yes. When can I get my 6 hours in
Batches.
I don't know, in batches?
Installments. As a payment plan.
Okay. Actually, that's interesting. I never even thought about that. But usually, for the circadian rhythm to be totally tipped over, I think it has to be really some sustainable period of sleep. A power nap for about 15 to 30 minutes so that you can get back up and running, I believe would not affect your circadian rhythm. But it would surely improve your functionality because the more you postpone your sleep, probably during the day, it should surely affect your productivity, probably at the workplace or in the home. Yeah. So I think it's okay to have the
To batch. So everybody
small
in the
batches.
house, you're warned. If you see me sleeping, do not disturb unless the house is on fire.
It's doctor's orders.
Doctor's orders. You had it here first. What about exercise? We know that the research seems to bear that for us as we get older, muscle is important, and there's a lot of emphasis on strength training as opposed to doing a lot of, I don't know, cardio. Exercise. How can we practically include that? If I don't have the money for a trainer, I am not a member of a gym, but I want to get some sort of strength or weight training in, how can I practically incorporate that into my lifestyle?
So the major, so we need to think about it in a way that When when a muscle or a bone is less active, not being used, it dies off. Like it becomes weaker, and actually those cells become dormant. And generally, someone who had quite muscle bulk would probably diminish over time. So menopause could be a period when there is an acceleration of that. So that's why the strength building muscle exercises are very important. The cardio, the aerobics, they're very, very important as well, because cardiovascular health is also quite important. If you don't have access to a gym, the simplest way of going about it is to try to avoid a sedentary lifestyle. For example, you wake up, you jump into your car, you've not even walked 10 steps and you're already at your desk. No, at an elevator. Instead of taking the stairs, you're at an elevator, you're at your desk and you sit there for the next 8 hours and you're back to the same routine. Surely that will catch up with you. So the first step is actually self-awareness. Am I actually doing the bare minimum? Like let's say being active, taking a walk, taking a brisk walk probably every evening. That can help. I know of some self-trainer apps where you can do some home workouts. Actually, I do that personally.
You better share. Which one are you using? Then we can say we
very
are doing the
simple.
ones of Dr. Mathew.
It's called home workouts.
Okay.
Yes.
We have
So
duly noted.
you don't have to actually go to a gym to actually have this done. However, it's very important to have, for sustainability of the habit, because it has to become a habit to bear fruit. You need to have some kind of support, probably a spouse or a friend or a child could actually help you through this. And exercise goes hand in hand with diet, the right diet, the right hydration, and the right mindset generally to help you circumvent all this.
Well, I think I see Dr. Mathew saying something is better than nothing, right? Because the symptoms are so many and they accumulate and then they fluctuate. If you can incorporate, ideally, all of these tips, but if you can at least try and improve on some of them, cumulatively, it should help out, right? Interesting. What you said, the way you live your day also affects the evening, right? But then if you can get into a routine, a ritual of sorts,
Habit, yes.
start calming down, switch off the gadgets, warm shower, drink that herbal tea, start quietening the mind to then hopefully slip into, even if it is, Jackie, only 2 or 3 hours, but make them the best 2 or 3 hours. If you're going to go through the napping, catch-up nap system, So all these things should help, right? Might not be one quick fix or one answer, but at least if you
every little bit
try,
helps.
yes, every little bit should help. And I think that's what's important to take away, not to lose hope, and to keep trying, right? Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you.
When you talked about that warm cup of herbal tea, so what herbs can we take? Because in Uganda we are notorious for what we call kadomola. Somebody will show up with this concoction, you don't even know what they've mixed, what is in it, and they're swearing to you how it's a cure-all for whatever you have. The ones that I've heard about that people have said work for them is ashwagandha for sleep. It's, I think, an Indian herb that you drink like a tea, or you can actually swallow a capsule. It works much like chamomile tea if you're trying to get sleepy. And then there's something which has a really weird name. I think it's called black cohosh or something. Again, it's supposed to be really good for modulating the hot flushes. Are there any other, I would like to say, scientifically tested or proven supplements or herbs or whatever it is that we can take to help us to manage the symptoms of menopause?
So, unfortunately, just want a disclosure that I'm actually a medical doctor.
Not Omsawo Wechinas.
I'm not Wechinas, which means a herbalist, our local dialect. So I actually have no idea. I'm actually noting down the names of these, the black cohosh, and that. But what I can say is that a lot of our pharmacological discoveries were made through herbs and plants. So the drugs that we have were actually gotten from these herbs. However, they were processed, tested, and clinical trials have been done for particular conditions.
Okay.
So there are herbal remedies, there are supplements that have been done, but most researchers that I looked through show that actually there is little to no benefit of these. However, on an individual, on a person-to-person basis, there are testimonies, there are personal testimonies of the effectiveness of these drugs, of these herbal concoctions, in as far as issues like sleep disturbance, the hot flashes have been concerned. So I'll not add too much to it. Actually, I've learned a lot.
So should we, because I'm taking the supplements, I think it's called Well Woman Plus, the one that has the evening primrose oil and the omega-3 you talked about. And then it also has in addition to all those range of vitamins, I'm also doing the calcium for the bones. So is that a good thing? Because I know supplements also sometimes get a bad rep. Are we taking them? Should we take them? Are they useful? I think for me at this point, I'm taking them for psychological comfort, because to be honest, I took them for a bit, then I went off to see if there's going to be a significant change, and they really wasn't. The only thing I could point to and say there was a modulation was for the hot flashes. So I'm beginning to doubt, am I just swallowing medicine, or is these supplements just because everybody says you should? Or is there a way for you to go and get a combination that works for you? I know these days pharmacists don't do a lot of compounding. When we were growing up, you would go to the pharmacy with the doctor's prescription, and they would actually mix for you your drug. And that is becoming rarer and rarer today.
One size fits all now.
Yes, now this company has made this combination of things, and whether it's suitable for you or not, because that's what's available, that's what you're taking. So I don't know what guidance you can give us around, is it a case of better to take something than nothing? Or are there, I don't know, pharmacies or people that are practicing in this area who can actually help us to create the thing that's ideal for you?
Okay, thank you, Jackie. So, like I said previously, it's actually something that can work on individual basis. So something that works for Jackie might not work for Rafi, might not work for and Esther elsewhere. So like you said, you had some well woman calcium, but as you're taking that, there has to be that background of personal drive, because you might take it for a month and expect to see a change.
No, I took it for a year. I first tried for a year because I said I think that's a long enough period to see some change. Then I took a break for a couple of months to see if there would be a significant difference. And the only thing which I noticed was different was the intensity of the hot flashes.
They reduced.
So, yeah.
Yes. So calcium and vitamin D supplementation, that has been proven, because if you look down at the molecular level of how the estrogen depletion affects the bone health, you can see how that comes in. So in combination with hormonal replacement therapy, we would have some good interaction between the calcium supplementation and the hormonal replacement. The fish oils and the concoctions of the vitamins and minerals, those majorly work on the nerve health. Yeah, the thermoregulation that comes from that brings about the hot flashes and all that is is made better by improving the nerve health. So the downside to it is that like these symptoms are not sometimes actually these menopausal symptoms might actually dissipate by themselves.
Okay.
And you don't know if to attribute it to the medication
or just the
or
natural
the
Naturally
natural
expired,
things,
yeah.
Because actually there are some documented cases of ladies who go through these disruptive symptoms for only 1 year, and she's good to go. She's back to normal. Yeah. So I believe it is something that can be a shared experience. Probably if you've had good outcomes from this, probably you have had your herbal remedy or you've had your well plan, your omega-3, and you recommend to your colleague and it works for them. Yeah, that is good. But I believe there's no proven large cohort of women who have been, like a research that has been done to show that these interventions are effective. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like us to take a break at this point and get a message from our partner for these 2 episodes, that is Maristops Hospital, and we'll be back after that break.
Are you a woman over 45 and starting to struggle with sleepless nights, mood swings, headaches, or unexpected hot flashes? You may be moving towards menopause. This is a period in a woman's life that can last months or even years, but there is help. Speak to our empathetic and expert providers to get personalized support for your symptoms, supporting you to feel like your amazing self again. WhatsApp us today on 0707 71301 or call 0800 120 333, toll free for more information or to find your nearest clinic. Maristops.
For every stage of woman.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Life Uncorked. This is our 2nd episode in a series dedicated to menopause, demystifying myths, understanding it better, knowing how we can manage it, identifying and knowing that you're not alone. In the room, we have Jackie and Dr. Mathew, who've been taking us through personal experiences, medical advice, and a little bit of magic, hopefully, to help us better navigate this time in our life. If I'm not wrong, Dr. Mathew, menopause is not a disease unless there are complications, right? But a bit like when they say pregnancy, it's not a sickness. It's a process, right? This is another kind of process when that golden time in a woman's life starts ending, when you've given your part to society, and that you're no longer being able to. Well, rather, when you can no longer bear children, let's say, and you're going through this stage in your life. So that's an important thing to understand. It's not a disease. It's something that we need to learn how to manage, for ourselves. So we've been looking at different aspects, from our diet, from exercise, from some of the supplements. I remember my doctor at some point, one of the supplement combinations hadn't worked, and he said, good medicine, wrong body. And he said,
right.
Yes. Yeah. And he said, we need to find what works for you. Because at some point I was feeling worse with a certain combination. So he said, sometimes you need to give it time. You need some trial and error. You need to see what will work. So we need to look at that aspect as well. I wanted to share something with you both and with our audience. Remember in the first episode, I listed some of the more comical terms by which women call menopause. But then I came across something very, very sweet, if I may say. A term from Chinese medicine, which quite beautifully likens the menopausal phase to the natural changing of seasons in a woman's life. They call menopause the second spring. Rather than talk of the menopause in a negative manner, this phrase invokes a sense of positivity and rebirth, which some studies believe could be the key to a more positive experience of menopause for women. So researchers at Yale School examined the idea that when a culture affects a woman's experience of menopause, it was actually found that in societies where age is more revered and the older woman is the wiser and better woman, menopausal symptoms are significantly less bothersome.
Huh.
True.
And I think that's a really good way to frame
Interesting.
a menopause.
We should get a Ugandan
We should adopt
name
those
for menopause.
First of all, we can go around saying, this is my second spring, okay?
You know?
So already... So don't rain on my parade.
Yes, true. So true.
So that was just something I wanted to share, Jackie. What would you think about that? And then
No, I
Dr.
think that's
Mathew.
that actually we will come back to that at the end because that's like our last segment. How do we embrace this change? I want us to talk about how can we build a support network, because for everything else that people have challenges with, there's a way to get the help you need. So I'm just sort of thinking about what can we do around family, friends who work, the community at large, to really not see that menopause is something that is going to bring somebody down or it marks the end of their usefulness in society. Because I think that's a very narrow definition of the woman's role, that when you're no longer valuable in terms of reproductive health, then, we discard you and off you go, to die of somewhere. And so I wanted...
Quietly, please.
I wanted us to, and this is to either of you, what exists for us to get those communities? I know for myself, I have a group of friends that I went to school with, and I've known them practically all my life, from primary school, secondary school, through to university. And for me, that network is invaluable because we are all in the same age group. And so when you talk about something, people go, oh my God, I thought that was just me. Because there's a time when my body was itching. And I was like, I don't understand this. I haven't changed the soap. The water is still the same. I have not changed what I'm applying to my skin. Why is the body itching? And when I shared this on the group, somebody said, no, that's just another one of the long things that you're going to have to go through. I went through it. And she's like, just chill. If it really gets bad, then she recommended a few things just to alleviate the irritation. But she said, it's something you will go through. And so I don't know that, I know that in that sense, I'm lucky that I have a place I can go to share my frustrations or the really hilarious things that happen when you're experiencing a hot flush and a myriad of all these other symptoms. But where else can people go? Are there spaces? I've seen a lot of online groups, but I'm hoping that with these conversations, we can encourage people to start to seek and to build those networks. And that's, for me, what my friends are providing. I don't know what the two of you have as a support network. Okay, doctor, you're not in menopause, but...
So in as far as the medical side is concerned, like Rafi said, it's not a disease. It's just another phase of a woman's life. What we have, what many maternity hospitals have tried to do, generally hospitals dealing with women and reproductive health, they've tried to set up some clinics for a particular group of clients who are going through the same kind of phase or condition, so that there are actually numbers and group support sessions other than the one-on-one with Babi Jackie, with Rafi, and then people go and do whatever. So it is something that that can be improved, just to help to have that platform where ladies can interact. However, like you said, it's something that actually affects a woman at every every facet of our life. Even at the workplace, a group, some kind of semblance of that can be done. Within the community, something like that can be done. The kind of support group within the hospital would mainly be something to do with maybe the complications, managing the complications. However, this is something that can even be done at home.
Okay.
Yeah, or within friends. Maybe Rafi could share what she has
Thank you
experienced.
for that, Dr. Mathew. I think friends, definitely. Finding doctors who won't just brush aside your symptoms. Some doctors, because of the lack, possibly, as you were saying, of research, more experience, or women opening up, very often they'll bunch, the symptoms and say, okay, let's try and manage. But then again, like I was saying, right medicine, wrong body. So sometimes, but if you find the right kind of doctor, that can really change things for you as well, even if it's just to listen to you and to help you understand that this will pass. One concept that I came about in my research, Jackie, and we need to think about this, is a menopause cafe. So this is a group of women who would meet with no set agenda, because it's not a medical review. It's really just an open, accepting space where women come in and share. So it's accessible, respectful, confidential, and you share your symptoms. And then if you have any hands-on experience or advice to give, you would share it. And then everyone can go and see what works for them. So that's something that I was thinking might be, worth a try. And the lady the article I read said you don't have to drink coffee. You can come.
Oh, yes.
You can just come and enjoy whatever it is you want to enjoy. It's not that you're forced to drink coffee if you come here.
You name your poison.
Exactly.
So actually, that reminds me of a space that we actually created for expectant mothers at Maristops Hospital. It's we call it an antenatal WhatsApp group, but and we also have periodic classes that we have, but they are entirely managed and driven by the ladies.
Okay.
So it's just an open space where they can share their experiences. Like probably one of them previously, she just shared a video of her baby farting. And she was asking her colleagues if that is normal.
Oh, bless.
So, as it's that liberal. So if probably at the hospital, such a space can be created, a menopause cafe, or within the community, with obviously the support of these the women groups, because they are very vibrant women groups, at least in Uganda, which I think Jackie might be part of. Even the Rotary Club surely have a way of incorporating something that can have some inclusivity for his mothers.
As you were talking, I was thinking, at the moment, my son is a teenager, and so I keep telling him, I really feel sorry for you that you're a teenager now, because we are both hormonal, but for different reasons. Yours are coming in, mine are leaving, but between the two of us, we all act like irrational teenagers, both hormonal causes, but different things. I wanted to just talk about what we do in the workplace, because there are a lot of women. Rafi and I are self-employed, so we can decide what to do, what we want. But for people who are still in employment and are still really contributing and are useful, I think I've only heard about Standard Chartered that actually has a menopause policy, which actually acknowledges that women who go through this particular time some of them might have challenges that have to do with menopause. And so there's a range of sort of aids that they've put in place. So including things like having a flexible work policy, so you can work from home if you feel your symptoms on a particular day are really, really bad. Working from home makes it easier than coming to the office and then everything is on display. Because even though you have a policy, it doesn't mean everybody is going to be particularly understanding of what you're going through. And if you then combine things like the mood changes, there is a very real danger that you could, really impact the relationship you have with your colleagues, and risk being misunderstood because now they're thinking you're well, you will be called menopausal anyway. They will say you're menopausal.
They'll stereotype you.
They will say you're hysterical. They'll say
Yeah.
you are PMT-ish, and they'll say those are women's problems. And I think for organizations and management to acknowledge that this is happening, and the number of women that are in the workforce and are staying there, well into their 50s and maybe even 60s, means that there's, I hope, a duty of care to help them navigate that within the workplace. But I think for the people who are at work and are experiencing this, I hope that there's a space where you can have a conversation with your manager, especially the person you report to, and say, look, this is what's going on. I am not acting crazy. I am just going through what every woman goes through. And like you said, maybe in the workplaces to start those menopause cafes. So because I think having a place to share and break the taboo and your experiences, once you have had the chance to talk about it with somebody who is going through the same thing, helps to make it more bearable. And when you feel like you're not in it all by yourself, that in alone, you're like, okay, I know I'm going through this. But it also helps you to say, okay, what adjustments can I make to make it easier for me to operate, especially at work? Most things have a day. I mean, we have like the really silly ones, like there's, I don't know, World Dog Day or something. No offense to the dog lovers, please don't come after me. But I mean, like, there's a day for everything. Every time I'm listening to the radio, particularly, I think Sanyu, every day they tell you what day it is, and like they're the most ridiculous days of things. But we discovered that there is a World Menopause Day, and it is celebrated on the 18th of October. So maybe there's something there to say, okay, now that we have acknowledged that we're in this space, that we can start to bring awareness and to show people how to manage, because now we have an official day.
To go all out.
To go all out.
Go all out.
and do that and get a little bit crazy. But yes, I think that having that that network, I came across something from the World Economic Forum. I think there are a couple of reports that were done, just to drive the point home about women who are in this age group and going through menopause and are still wanting to have an active career. So one was I'll start with the one from it's the Chartered Institute of Personal Development. They have a report that came out in October of 2023. Like you said, unfortunately, these statistics, I'm sorry guys, these are not Uganda, they're not even Africa, but this is what we've got, so this is what we are sharing. This is probably going to be European. 2 in 3 menopausal women say that their symptoms have had a negative impact on their work, and hence the need for that policy to make those adjustments to make it easy for people to go through it. Then 1 in 4 said they did not get the support they needed from their manager. So I think there's also now work there to do with organizations. Fortunately, we have an Human Resource Association of Uganda. Maybe that's a good place to start, to put this on the table and get something formalized. But from the World Economic Forum, this is just a statement I've pulled out of a report. It was, I think, a report that was presented to the Parliament in the UK. And they said women of menopausal age account for the fastest growth in the workforce. And they are staying in employment more than ever before. Typically, at the peak of their careers, these women are highly experienced, skilled, and considered role models to more junior staff members. At the same time, however, women in this age group frequently lack the support needed to manage menopausal symptoms, leading many to reduce their responsibilities at work or leave the workplace entirely. And I think it's a shame that you have somebody who has still so much to offer, and just because we failed to manage a very simple thing, we are losing this value and contribution, to productivity in the workplace. So that's food for thought, but I hope if you're listening and this has touched your heart, that you will go and start poking the bear in your organization and say, hey, hang on a minute, do we have this in place? Because this would probably be something that is interesting. Okay, so as we wrap up, we have maybe we need to talk about how can we reframe. You mentioned it, Rafi, the Chinese saying about the second spring. How can we reframe menopause as a positive transformation, so that we get away from all these negative, connotations? And I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
Personally, I think, so from what you've just said, Jackie, this report from the World Economic Forum, a professional woman, someone who's in her career, someone who's on a life journey, someone who's there to make a change, to make a contribution, should not have to deviate her path because she was unable to manage these symptoms or lack the support. So I think it's very important, that we understand, as we just said, this is not a disease, this is something we should be able to manage. And it should be a second awakening of some sort, because I feel that if a woman has the right tools to navigate this, she can feel even more empowered and embrace this second spring, as it's been called, because then you are at an age, at a place with maturity, with experience. You probably find your second new self, and should be able to then live, this mature phase of your life, hopefully managing your health better, and experiencing and enjoying whatever it has to offer.
True.
So I think if one can make this process more positive, it should even add more to that second phase in life.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like she said, bringing the culture and the society on board on this, to actually see that this is a very valuable group of women who still have a lot to contribute to society and to the country's development, should actually be something that should be emphasized at the workplace and every facet of community generally. So thank you for those statistics. They're actually very, very straightforward, and because when you say there's a difference between saying 66% of women report that they have challenges at the workplace, but when you convert it to 2 in 3, 2 in 3 women, actually even the layperson.
So if we're still in the former workplace,
Yes.
that would be us.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, even the person with the least level of literacy can understand that. So thank you very much for that statistic.
Okay. So we'll just reinforce, menopause isn't a form of deficiency or a disease. And just like you found the Chinese one, I found an interesting one. I can't remember where I got this from, but I found something called the grandmother theory. And it suggests that menopause is an evolutionary adaptation that allows women to live long enough to become grandmothers and pass their knowledge on to the next generation.
Yeah.
So there's at least there's that positivity. And for those of you who are fans of Sex in the City, the series, the books, the movie, you remember one of the actresses in the, I think there were 4 ladies that are the leads. Yeah. She's called Kim Cattrall, and I think ending with this quote will put us in the sort of that reframing of menopause as being a place where you embrace yourself. And she says, I see menopause as the start of the fabulous next... Sorry, let me start that again. I see menopause as the start of the next fabulous phase of life as a woman. Now is the time to tune into our bodies and embrace this new chapter. If anything, I feel more myself and love my body more now at 58 years than ever before.
Okay.
And I think I don't need to add anything else other than thank you very much for tuning into our second episode. Thank you, Dr. Mathew Kagwisagye from the Maristops Hospital, and for my lovely co-host, Rafi. And this was episode 2, where we were talking about how to thrive during menopause. So please go into our channels, like, subscribe, share, tell us your comments, tell us what you'd like us to talk about next, and we will try to indulge you as much as we can. This is Jackie, and see you next time.